present.
And so we need to get to the long business of healing. That involves a lot of uncomfortable conversations, but it has to be done.
Meantime, rallies are being held this weekend for Darren Wilson, the officer who fatally shot 18-year-old Michael Brown. And so far, online fundraisers for Wilson have surpassed the amount of money raised for Brown's family. A grand jury of 9 whites and 3 African Americans is now gathering evidence, reviewing evidence in the case. But some worry if they don't return a charge against the officer, the peace won't last. That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Facebook page. You can also send a tweet using the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in the newsroom again is our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. All right, Chris Tritico, it's very difficult to return an indictment against an officer, right?
Yes. Typically speaking, we say in my world that a prosecutor could indict a ham sandwich if he wanted to, because they are the only ones that get to talk to the grand jury. And except when it comes to public officials like police officers and firefighters and people like that, it's a little bit harder. They have to look at this from all angles, and what they're going to be looking at is, was the officer justified in using deadly force at that time? The problem they have is that he wasn't aware, apparently wasn't aware of the burglary that it's alleged that this young man participated in, so that changes it. But if the young man made a furtive movement that gave the officer reason to believe that he was about to be harmed, he has the right to use deadly force. That's where this falls. I've been watching this very closely as it happened and unfolded. I hate to see unrest the way we have in this, and violence the way we have in this community. But what bothers me, Mustafa, to me, is when you learn that of all the people arrested, only 6 of them were from the community and the rest of them are from out of state. That all of these people from out of state are coming in causing violence instead of having the discussion that should be had.
Yeah, and there are a few people that are causing that violence, but the community unrest is justified. I mean, you don't have to go all the way to Missouri.
You mean the speech is justified, not the violence?
Yeah, the speech is justified, and without those speeches, without those protests, without people gathering, this would have been just, pushed under the rug. And we don't have to go to Missouri for something like that. What happened to Alfred Wright just in Jasper very recently, where he disappeared. The police said they did an autopsy, they found drug overdose, they found all these things, and then as the family did the autopsy, they found that his tongue was cut out. And it was just horrendous things start to come out until there's public attention. In some of these smaller places, African American doesn't get justice.
Jackie, if the grand jury doesn't indict or returns what we call a no bill and refuses to indict and says we don't have probable cause to believe a crime was committed, are we going to see more violence?
There is a very good possibility based on the reactions we saw before. And the way that they're showing the racial breakdown, they're emphasizing that, again, is making it very tense for race relations. Peaceful protests, discussions about race relations, those are all acceptable. The looting, the stealing, things of that nature are not. We were talking about reckless statements earlier, and our Eric Holder, our top law enforcement officer, came in there and said, I understand what you're feeling because I don't trust the police either. He's our top law enforcement officer. And I feel in his role, even if he has that comment, you try to make the peace and cause a bridge between the two communities. That is a reckless statement.
But after he left, there was calm in the street. So actually, he brought calm to the street.
Let me go to Sally. Hang on, let me go to Sally. Hang on. Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
We want to get Sally. One tweet in here from one of our viewers, Gwen. She says, does the grand jury in Ferguson look like the police department? If so, they may have the same attitude about Officer Wilson's actions. Well, Chris, what's been your experience when you do have a grand jury that is majority white investigating a case with a lot of racial undertones?
Well, I don't know how they pick grand jurors in Missouri, but I can tell you that in Texas, the way we pick grand jurors, we end up with mostly white grand juries because the people that we end up with are generally retired people that don't have anything else to do and aren't working. And because grand juries meet 2 days a week for 3 months, and so it's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort, and so you don't end up with as many minorities as you do on a petit jury or a trial jury that you have. But there's 3 African Americans on here. That is a good cross section of that community, it appears to me, and I just don't see that changes anything.
We don't know. I mean, we don't know what the grand jury looks like, and we don't know what they're.
Well, we know
do.
there's 3 African Americans and 9 Anglos.
That helps, right? But in essence, I don't know. I'm not in that room, so we'll
Right.
see what happens what the grand jury does. But this is an important issue. It's not just about Ferguson. This is happening around the country. If you look at our Harris County, every single person that we've sent to death row in the last 25 years happens to be an African American. There's an issue in law enforcement in the African American community, and until we admit that and try to deal with it, we're going to continue to see things like this.
And I don't think anyone's denying that. I think, again, peaceful protests and discussions about race relations, I think that's something we do need to have. But I think, again, looting and stealing, that's
Nobody agrees with
unwarranted. And the comments that Eric Holder made as the top law enforcement officer, that's a reckless statement. The racial makeup of the grand jury is reflective of the community, and hopefully people will get over that. They'll look at the facts, because we are hearing conflicting stories that maybe this young man may have attacked him first.
Yeah.
Maybe he heard about we don't really have the full set of facts
And
yet.
so we'll see where it goes from there. Now, one thing I want to say is that we don't know when this grand jury was impaneled, and I don't know that it was impaneled just for this. It may have been a grand jury that was already meeting and already impaneled before this even happened.
Exactly, and then they've gotten saddled with this case
Correct.
now. Nobody wants to hear probably. Okay, thanks so much. We appreciate it, guys.